There are 5 types of damages in Arknights: physical, arts, true damage, elemental, and financial damage. That last one is a joke, of course, it's not an actual thing. Now, we are all accustomed to the first 3 types since the beginning of Arknights and have a solid understanding of how it works. To put it simply, physical damage is reduced by defense, arts damage is reduced by resistance, and true damage is countered by having a shit ton of HP. Then there's elemental damage, with its counterpart, E-res or elemental resistance. This is a relatively new damage mechanic, and we have been getting more operators with subclasses specialized in this area. When talking about elemental damage, there are 4 different effects associated with it, and it's a crucial part to understand how elemental damage works. These 4 effects are nervous impairment, corrosion, burn, and necrosis. So these effects have different behaviors depending on whether it's applied on the enemy or on the operator. We'll just be focusing on the effects on the enemies. So for nervous impairment, it deals 6000 elemental damage and applies 3 stacks of paralysis. Corrosion deals 5000 elemental damage and gives a flat 120 defense reduction. Burn deals 7000 elemental damage and a flat debuff of 20 resistance for 10 seconds. Necrosis deals 800 elemental damage per second and additional 50% enfeeble. Enfeeble just makes the enemy's attacks weaker. A quick clarification, the aforementioned effects are not really elemental damage, instead they are known as elemental injury. Elemental damage only happens when the enemy is under the effect of elemental burst, which is triggered by depleting the elemental injury HP bar, these circles. Once elemental burst is triggered, the effects of elemental injury takes place and the enemy is invulnerable to additional elemental injuries for a short time. Elemental damage is really strong because the majority of enemies in Arknights have no resistance to it, and it pierces through defense and resistance, almost acting like a true damage. My good friend Silent pointed out that burn is underutilized, and there's not a lot of videos talk about elemental damage as a whole, and I think that it has a massive potential. I'm also seeing that Arknights starts to shift towards the elemental meta as we get more operators that comes with elemental injuries built into their skill or as part of their modules like thorns and logos. In this video, we will be focusing on burn damage. It deals the most elemental damage in one single hit and perhaps the most destructive one out of the 4. Since this video is about burn damage, it wouldn't feel right to not include the best burn operators in Arknights today: Blaze Altar and you. I will go over their kits briefly and showcase how stupidly powerful burn is. Before we move on, I have a question for you. Do you want to buy Arknights packs but need to save money as well? There is a way. Let me introduce you to LootBar. LootBar is a top-up service that also sells in-game packs at lower price. You get a discount up to 17% off, so sign up through my links on the description or in the pinned comment to get a new user coupon. After you pay, use the self-top-up method to log into your Arknights account and redeem it. It will only take a few minutes for the new pack to arrive in-game. LootBar is also safe and secure with a 4.9 rating on Trustpilot and over 30,000 reviews. So if you want to save some money, click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to get your LootBar discount. Thank you LootBar for sponsoring this video. Let's start how burn and elemental damage is meant to be used as the game intended. While Arknights has a tutorial on this section using necrosis, I recreated the tutorial but with Wormy and Bobbing, keeping the theme consistent. Bobbing is a ritualist, and his job is to apply burn damage, while Wormy deals the elemental damage. This is a dual mechanic with the potential to deal a lot of damage, initially with ritualists and primal casters, but it has been expanded over time with the release of primal subclasses. Now we have primal defenders who can apply elemental injuries and primal guards who deal the elemental damage. Let's go over Blaze's Altar kit real quick. Don't worry, it won't be too long. Blaze's first talent, Meltdown, deals 350% attack as elemental damage to enemies with burn damage burst and recovers 12% of max HP. At pot 6, she deals 380% of attack and heals 15% HP. That is one of the largest attack multipliers I've ever seen on an operator. Only a few operators have attack multipliers reaching 300%, like Degenbrecher, Lemoen, Exia Altar, to name a few. but most of them don't even come close to Blaze's 350% attack multiplier, except for Lemwen in some cases. Now to trigger this talent, Blaze can do it on her own with skill 1 or skill 2, but her skill 3, which is her bread and butter, requires external assistance. Skill 1 and 2 burn damage scales with Blaze's arts damage. How fast she applies burn depends on the enemy's resistance, so the lower the enemy's resistance, the faster Blaze will apply burn, and vice versa. Skill 1 has a great staying power and it's effective against light mobs, but really struggles against heavies with resistance because of how burn damage scales. Skill 2 is pretty decent, providing some crowd control and a slight stronger burn damage, but still suffers the same problem as skill 1. That said, both of these skills are overshadowed by the raw damage output that is skill 3. Skill 3 expands Blaze's range attack and deals a lot of arts damage and elemental damage with a really fast attack interval. It is also an ammo skill with a very unique reloading mechanic where whenever an enemy enters the burst effect of burn damage, Blaze Alter gains 2 ammo. So she can basically chain this skill for as long as possible. Combine this with use skill 3, Blaze basically applies burn with every hit and it scales with use attack instead of her own arts damage. This allows Blaze to apply burn really fast with just a few ammo at the start and the rest deals elemental damage. This results in massive damage output overall, and it does kind of lead to players coming to the conclusion that Blaze really depends on you to unlock her full potential, and unfortunately it is true. Yu is the best burn applicator we have, and he happens to be a primal defender, and also a limited operator at that. These two are the go-to duo team for burn damage, and I see it all the time, especially during the Icebreaker games recently. This section will showcase Blaze Alter's elemental damage against a couple of bosses, namely the Vampire Ducarel and the Cocaine Bear from Chapter 16. My friend Silent will take over, and he will provide some commentary as well to give it more context. So, Silent, take it away.
Okay, for this first demonstration, we're going to be using
Jay Quellen.
this asshole as our punching bag. And for this demonstration, we're going to be using two of the most meta operators in the game. Everyone's favorite cockroach, Weasel, and everyone's favorite paraplegic angel, Lemwen. Both are fully maxed with tier 3 modules and have full masteries on their skills. Additionally, they'll also be buffed by Scotty Alter S2 and Stainless S3. Sarkaz Autism, go.
So sad. Not even ashes.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking pathetic. Yeah, this is just sad. Moving on. Orbital strike incoming.
Who would bear the news of your death? Ever crossed your mind?
Really? That's it? You're supposed to be broken. I guess the only thing that's broken about you is your ass. You know, cause you're in a wheelchair. Alright, now we have the MVP on the stage. We have a maxed out Blaze Alter, equipped with S3, and for this demonstration she will only be buffed by a level 60 U, level 7 S3. Commencing war crimes in 3, 2, 1... 8-pound, 6-ounce newborn baby Jesus. Holy shit. In the words of Phil Swift, now that's a lot of damage. Alright, for this last demonstration, we have the Cocaine Bear as our punching bag. And for this demonstration, he will be going up against the same operators as before. Maxed out Weasel, Lemwen, and Blaze Alter. All three operators will be buffed by Warfarin S2 and Stainless S3. 3. Nope, damn it. 2, 1. And same as before, Pissadel is doing piss poor damage against the Cocaine Bear. Keep in mind she is being buffed by two other operators. This is pathetic. By the power of the Second Amendment, she did the same amount of damage as Weasel. Fuck. That's disheartening. Setting a bear on fire in 3, 2, 1. Look at that, it's more than half. No, he doesn't like it. He's getting the fuck out of here. Only you can prevent forest fires, says Smokey the Bear as the fucking forest is burning down around him. Not even bothering to help out like the punk bitch he is.
I want to take this opportunity to ask you to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. I also have a Discord server if you want to hang out with me and talk about Arknights or Arknights Enfield. You can find the invite link down below. As of now, Yu is the best pairing for Blaze Altar because how he applies burn. Burn damage scales with his attack instead of damage. Therefore, it does not matter if the enemies are resistant to physical or arts damage, Yu still applies burn easily with his skill 3. If you don't have Yu, bobbing is the next decent alternative. He is unfortunately capped by his slow burn application and a finicky and limited range at which he applies burn. Yu doesn't have these limitations, and because of that, he power creeps bobbing by a mile. Now I suspect that if Hypergriff were to release a 6-star burn ritualist and is not a limited operator, that would be just as popular as Yu to be Blaze's burn partner. But that's just a theory. There is a air quotes slight downside with elemental damage. A lot of enemies dies instantly when elemental burst is triggered with the exception of bosses. But this is one of those my steak is too juicy, my lobster is too buttery situations, so I can't really complain about that. In the last few months, Hypergriff gradually started to add more elemental operators. We recently got Mantra during the release of Chapter 16. Karen? Is that how you pronounce her name? Shares the same banner as Nasty in Unrealized Realities, and she deals Corrosion, a first for operators. In fact, almost every event in the past 6 months have at least one elemental operator, and we can expect more of them in the future. We are still missing 4-star ritualists, 6-star ritualists with burn and corrosion damage, and 5-star ritualists with nervous impairment. Not to mention the additional operators that will be added to the primal subclasses. There is a lot of potential here. If we are getting more burn operators in the future, I hope Hypergriff keeps the theme consistent. If you haven't noticed, all the current burn operators are chefs to some degree, or at the very least has interacted with the kitchen. So, one day, we might have a working chef knight squad in order. Thanks for listening to my rant, and a big thanks to my friend Silent for providing me this video idea and the clips. I hope this video convinced you to use Blaze Altar more and use more burn damage in your day-to-day clears. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!